first regular meeting of the Wetzel County Board of Education is called to order. Thank you all for being here tonight for the various inductees and things we have going as part of our agenda this evening. At the beginning, we will start with the opening pledge of allegiance led by Mr. Gebbia. I'll share an invocation with us. Anyone not wishing to participate may stay seated.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We just ask for your guidance, your wisdom, your help. We make choices and decisions that affect the students of Wetzel County Schools. Father, even as we inducted these leaders into our Wetzel County school community, we encourage them, appreciate them, and we hope that they will be the kind of folks that will think students first, and that we might move the education of every child in Wetzel County forward. Strengthen us and guide us, help us to be wise in our choices tonight. And we pray this in Christ's name. So the first item on our agenda this evening is the public hearing on the Wetzel County Schools calendar. We're required by law to have a public hearing on the calendar, and so Mrs. Wells and Mr. Cook, I'm not sure which one of you will be guiding us. Mr. Cook guiding us through that this evening.
Well, it's great to see so many people are interested in option 1 and option 2 of the calendar. I didn't imagine I was going to have this big of a turnout. In regards to that, we have two options that the calendar committee came up with this year. One of them starts prior to Labor Day, one of them is after Labor Day. There was always a percentage of teachers and employees that felt that they wanted to start after Labor Day. Well, after I think looking at where we would end up in late June, the other option seems to be the one that's being chosen rather a lot. So it's like 90-some percent or something like that. But the calendar requirements are very specific as to what we have to put in there. As per West Virginia Code and State Board Policy 3234, each county must submit a calendar for approval to the state superintendent of schools. Counties must hold 2 public hearings that allow interested parties to discuss the calendar. We have to have 180 days built in the calendar for instruction, 48-week maximum window in order to do that. County boards cannot hold graduations or release seniors any earlier than 5 days prior to the last instructional day of your calendar. Counties must schedule 6 faculty senate meetings no more than 45 days apart. So all that stuff that you actually see in the calendar, it's not, I didn't just go crazy one day and start blocking stuff in. It's specific as to when I can do things. There's 20 non-instructional days. The legal holidays this year: July 4th, Independence Day; September 5th, Labor Day; November 8th, primary election; November 11th, Veterans Day; the 24th is Thanksgiving; 26th, Christmas; January 2nd, New Year's; Martin Luther King Day on January 16th; May 29th, Memorial Day; and June 20th, West Virginia Day, should we still be in. OS days are days that are built into the calendar. There's 6 days that count for instruction. So we have something called NTID days. Everybody's heard of that by now. Those are your packets, snow packets, remote learning. We have 6 days that we have for OS. We have 5 NTID days that we can use if they are approved by the board and by the majority vote. That's 5 more days that we have that we can use towards anything that happens out there, that we can go into remote instruction and use our snow packets, whatever we got to do to keep. And that's called NTID, non-traditional instruction. But there's 6 OS days. I know I just rambled there for a minute, but 4 must occur after the 130th day of instruction. So you can build your OS days into your calendar, but you can't do 4 of them have to be after the 130th day. So there's been times in the past where we've had to use OS days, NTID days, when we built them into the calendar, when the state came back a couple of years ago and said, hey, we're starting later, you need to redo your calendar, get it to us in 30 minutes. And this is basically what happened. We used a couple NTID days that had OS dates built into it, and it wasn't something that we liked so much because everybody was just so confused over it. We have under prep, CD, CUPM, we have 5 days for staff development that we can use. We have the prep day at the beginning of the year when school opens or right before school opens, and it's the last day of instruction. Right after the last day of instruction, you also have another prep day for teachers to close the building. This was option 1 that was on the table that the calendar committee asked to make happen. This one starts, it's hard to say, the 31st of August is the planning day for teachers. And then they have the rest of that week for planning and curriculum development. And then you have Labor Day on the 5th, and the actual first day of instruction would be the 6th, Tuesday, September 6th. And that calendar could go as deep as the 28th of June because of such a late start. We don't start school until after the fair. So after the Once County Fair, and that's always the same time. So there's an agreement there. We've got so many kids involved that it wouldn't be right to try to start school. We've got teachers involved, so we don't start until after that. But that was option 1 that was on the table. Option 2 starts the 15th of August, which is right after the fair. We have the rest of the week for curriculum development, and then a professional meeting, a professional learning on Friday. This year we did something similar to this. We all came together at Martinsville School for the elementary, and then Magnolia, I can't remember, I'm getting old. Magnolia in the afternoon for the high schools, and it gave us a chance to go and talk to them and just kind of welcome them back to school, and I thought it was a pretty good day. They got to introduce the new superintendent. And I think she brought some bats in to the Martinsville School, and bats flying around, all kinds of things. It was all Halloween. So this calendar again starts on August 15th. It ends June 12th. That would be possibly the last day that we would go on that. The last day of instruction for students will be June 1st. June 1st, there's a faculty senate. There'll be a half day for students. The next day would be the planning day. Now, if we were to use all of our NTID days, our 5 that we get, if everybody votes for it, and then we use our 6 days, 6 more days, we actually get 5 and then the 6. We get a lot of days there. It's hard to explain this, but we've got the NTID, which is 5 days. We get an additional 5 days from the state, which is based off of how much time that we put into school that year, and it's kind of a time equivocal thing that we calculate. And I bring all the tech guys in, and they say, this is how many days we have, and we got those, and then we got those last, at the very end there, those pink ones, those 6 days. So, you know, we could go as deep as the 12th of June. But that is option 2. This so far has been, it's very close. It's a Republican-Democrat thing there, I think. But out of 222, 88.3% are choosing option 2, which is the earlier start. Option 1's not doing very well, so that majority of people is probably going to lose their rights to have another Labor Day calendar bill. And then NTID, 96% of the people out of 222 have said they want to continue doing that. It's an additional 5 days from the state, so that's a pretty good deal. If option 2 is chosen, this is what it would look like. First day for teachers, August 15th. Prep day for those teachers, August 15th. First day for students, August 22nd. First day or last day of the first semester would be January 20th. Last day of instruction, June 1st. Closing, prep day, June 1st. And then the breaks. Breaks are pretty good. We've got a pretty good setup there. We're going to do something similar to as we did this past year. You had a pretty long break for Thanksgiving, November 21st to the 27th. You return on the 28th. Christmas break was December 16th through January 2nd. There's plenty of time to get some good, wholesome family fun in there. And you'll be ready to get them back on January 3rd, I guarantee it. President's Day, we're looking to take that day off also, January 20th. Spring break, April 6th through the 10th, returning on April 11th. Curriculum development days at the beginning of the year, 16th, 17th, and 18th of August. Professional learning for teachers, professional meetings, August 19th, January 20th, March 24th. And then the OS days are June 5th through the 12th. And that, my friends, is our calendars. We have option 1 and option 2. And Mr. McPherson, is it out there for everybody to vote for?
It will be tomorrow.
Okay, general public will be able to start voting tomorrow. And if you haven't voted for your whichever option it is, you have the opportunity to continue to put in 1 vote, please. That pretty much concludes my special moment today.
Thank you, Mr. Cook. By law, I am required to ask if there are any questions from the public as it relates to the calendar. This is just the first hearing, so we will not be voting on this calendar tonight. This is just the first of 2 hearings that we're required to have by law, and I'm not seeing any hands or any questions related to. I'm coming back to the board.
Okay, you just never saw
But I will. Nothing from the crowd. All right, board members, are there any? Amy, you have.
When it is live for everyone tomorrow, what format will it be? Will it be like this?
This is what we have to submit to the state.
The presentation, the black screen, or this?
The black screen, exactly. There won't be anything up there for you to vote on. Nothing. It'll be just like that, option 1 or
I
option
have
2.
enough trouble with the thought going through my own mind. So it'll be this format?
Yes.
Because I still say that it is too difficult.
Yeah, but this is what we have to do with the state. After we get this submitted, we'll try to come up with something that's more farmer friendly.
I understand what you're saying. I'm just saying that if you want a true representation of what parents are looking for, I just feel if you're not in the education field, it is too difficult to master, to understand. Okay. But it's the same soapbox I've been on for almost 6 years now, so, and it'll be the last time you hear it. You don't see the smile under the mask. A standard calendar form with the same information. It is the same thing that for probably the first 3 years I had to sit and transfer in order for me to
So you're
grasp.
just saying like a little calendar with all the months and this is the
All 12
beginning,
months.
this is the end.
Yes, ma'am. For the first 3 years being on the board, it was how I had to transfer in order to truly grasp.
When would you like to have that by?
Yesterday would be good.
Well, thing is, that's not possible. When would you like to have that by?
Whenever we could get it out.
Okay, okay. You have asked me for since April. So I think we can get that done. I can put that on the calendar. So, okay.
And I think even if I know we're talking about different decent levels here, but Mr. Pearson on the survey, is there any way, I think, if you could just simply say, for students, option 1 starts the 5th and it ends this day, and option 2, students start this day, and then this day, I think parents will understand those 2 dates on each option and probably will vote based on those 2 things. So that would probably, I think, if that would work for you, Amy, I
For the
think that would
survey,
be for
yes.
that survey. I think if you could do a simplified thing like that, I think that would resolve that issue. Thank you, sir.
And Mrs. Cooley, I will continue on your
I appreciate that.
Okay, you have to take the argument to the state, I guess. All right. That ends the first public hearing. Then on the calendar, unless board members are any other questions you had. Not hearing any, then we move on to our recognitions. Again, this evening we have before the meeting the recognition of our What's County Schools Teacher Leadership Framework inductees, and appreciated all the work and effort that everybody put into having that this evening for them. And good leadership is important to any structure, and so I appreciate all those who stepped in to those new roles and encourage you in that, support you in that. We've supported this process, and again, I appreciate you. And anything we can do to help our students move forward, let's do it. Student-centered thought, and I appreciate all the efforts that have gone into all of that. Would you like to relist these now, or whatever? I'm not sure what you had in mind as far as these recognitions. Do you want me to read?
I would like for you to do it.
Okay,
Yes.
absolutely. I can do that. Just wasn't sure what the plan was for that. So we did the inductees, but I want to read through all of these leaders again, and I apologize if I mispronounce anyone's name. I will do the best that I can. First is Belinda Baker. There is Stacy Barkus, Gabrielle Cooper, Dr. Eric Imch, Whitney Healy, Elliot Kendall, Craig Mason, Janet Moore, Mary Ritz, Michelle Wheatley, Diana Wheeler, Marley Amos, Bill Bell, Lindsay Kane, Carla Fluharty, Ashley Green, Morgan Law, Stephanie Long, James D. Morris, Angela Snyder, Billy Wildman, Mary Young, Richard Hearn, Rebecca Rhodes, Stephen Starkey, and Aaron Yost. And if all of you would stand up, please, one more time. Thank you all. You can sit down. And anyone wishing to, I will not be offended.
Can I get your card for you? No, I can get
We also, I'll give them an extra second. That'll give them a chance to sign it. Thank you all for staying. We do have two other recognitions that we'd like to present this evening as well from the Regional Art Exhibition. And as we announce your name, if you would come forward and receive your certificate as we honor them for the 33rd Annual Regional Student Art Exhibition at the Stifle Fine Arts Center at Ogilvie Institute. We have two Valley High School students that were involved in that, and so Callie, am I correct? Callie Briggs, if you come forward and receive your certificate. And is Isaac Campbell here?
He's not here.
Okay. We certainly want to award Isaac Campbell as well, and thank you. Ms. Cooper, for taking me out. Absolutely,
I
go
would
ahead.
like to compliment their teacher, Gabby Cooper, on going the extra mile to make sure that these pieces of artwork got submitted and that these students were recognized for their outstanding work. We've known that Isaac and Callie are gifted artists. We've known that for quite some time. Now the whole state knows it, and deservedly so. And that is in large fact attributed to a teacher who goes the extra mile to make sure that kids' artwork is recognized. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you, Mrs. Wilson, thank you all. You're welcome to stay if you like, or you're welcome to slide.
Well, Adam wants to stay.
Take it all.
Yeah.
Next item on our agenda this evening are delegations. We do have one delegation tonight to speak before the board. Just as our practice, we do remind any delegates that by policy, we give any delegate 5 minutes to speak, and you can present whatever it is that you would desire for us to hear tonight. And just remember, though, that by law, the board's not allowed to respond or react. We have to wait for an official agenda item to be able to have discussions about things, and so we can't necessarily talk about anything delegates bring up, but we do listen, and we do convey to administrators and things that as we move forward as issues are brought to us. And so tonight we do have one delegate, Carol Coleman, and you're free to speak to us for the 5 minutes. Yes, you wish.
Okay, thank you. So, I guess I didn't realize that you couldn't respond or have any discussions with me. So, anyway, I didn't find out about this meeting until late last week, so I didn't have a lot of time to prepare everything that I wanted to say. But my question was going to be, what is your what are you guys doing moving forward? What is your plan moving forward as far as removing the masks from the kids? Obviously, none of you are going to answer me, and I understand, but a lot of you probably wonder why I'm even here, because I don't have a child that goes to the school. However, I do have a nephew that I'm very close to, and I spend a lot of time with him. Over the last several months, I have watched his level of education decline, his interest in school decline. He's the reason I'm here, although I want to be a voice for all the kids. I've since last week talked to a lot of parents. I think you're going to see more of us. I think because we don't know what your plan is, we don't know when you're going to take. All the other schools are removing masks from the kids. So I do have a little information. I wish I would have had time to print it off for everybody, but before my time is gone, I will at least read what I wrote. So my name is Carol Coleman. I am here to be a voice for our children in our community. I want to first know, what is your plan to unmask the children in Whatcom County? I know some of you probably are wondering why I have a dog in this fight. My reason is to be a voice for a 7-year-old little boy who is my nephew. Although it's been quite a while since I've been in school, I remember as a 7-year-old, I absolutely loved school. I loved seeing my friends, and I loved my teachers. I hear him tell me daily how he hates to come to school. When I ask why, he says, because I can't breathe in these masks, Aunt Carol. Our kids are suffering mentally, physically, and psychologically. I've spoken to many parents who are witnessing the same with their children/grandchildren. We were not created to be isolated. We were not created to wear a face covering. Our children are not developing the skills needed to progress to the next level. When is enough enough? Masks are proven ineffective, potentially harmful, and I'm not even sure how legal all of this is. It is a myth that masks prevent viruses from spreading. The overall evidence is clear. Standard cloth and surgical masks offer next to no protection against virus-sized particles or small aerosols. Have you read the warning labels on your box of masks that you provide? If not, please let me highlight for you. There is a warning label. This product is an ear loop mask. This product is not a respirator and will not provide any protection against COVID-19 or any other viruses or contaminants. Wearing an ear loop mask does not reduce the risk of contracting any disease or infection. User is solely responsible for the selection of appropriate PPE for the setting and application. Change immediately if contaminated. This is marked clearly on each and every box. I pick Colton up from school. Not every day, but some days. When I pick him up, his mask is saturated, soaked, because he's been breathing in it all day long. Not only is it soaked, but there's food particles. What happens with heat and moisture? What are you growing? Basic science tells us what we're growing. The U.S. Center for Disease Control performed a study which showed that 85% of those who contracted COVID-19 during July 2020 all wore masks. This is all on CDC's website. You can find any of this information out there if you choose to just not listen to what they spew out and do your own research. It's all out there. Just 3.9% of the study of participants never wore a mask. I've been told that my nephew loses concentration, drifts off, and does not seem to be paying attention. Ask why, and there is no answer other than maybe he's ADHD. Again, after talking to several parents, they have and are experiencing the same communications with their children's teachers. I ask why, what is going on? Are all of these kids all of a sudden ADHD? Let me highlight a few studies for you. So these aren't just studies for COVID-19, these are masks on doctors over the years and nurses on what happens with them.
I can pause you just for a minute, because I have to be fair with every delegate that ever comes to a meeting. You're about to, I'm extending you another minute or so, but we will have to wrap up just in fairness to every delegate that comes before the board.
I'm almost done, and I appreciate it very, very much. I really, truly do. Preliminary reports on surgical masks. Induced deoxygenation. Not sure if you ever heard of it. I didn't either until I started researching. Face mask side effects include lowered oxygen levels. Studies have proven that surgeons that wore a mask in surgery for an hour plus has significant reductions in blood oxygen saturation. Decreasing oxygen and increasing carbon dioxide in the bloodstream stimulates a compensatory response in the respiratory centers of the brain. These changes in blood gases result in increases in both frequency and depth breaths. This exposes another risk. If your mask traps some virus, you are breathing more, hence increasing viral load and exposure. My nephew complains of headaches all the time. What does studies show? They show that wearing a mask and decreasing oxygen is a major cause of chronic headaches. This is his grandmother. His grandmother has had him to several doctors over his headaches. Nothing's been found. But when you do research, are these masks causing, and not only are they causing health problems, and I'm not even going to read you the rest of the studies, but delayed learning. My God, he goes to speech. He can't see you. He can't see how to enunciate words. How do kids learn? There's kids that don't ever get to see a smile, but when you walk into your teacher's room and you see that warm, pretty face with that smile, those are the things that you look forward to. Some kids don't get that at home. Colton is very fortunate and he gets a lot of that, but a lot of kids don't. What are we doing? What are we doing to the kids? And I think that's what each of you need to ask yourself. And that doesn't even include, like, I'm going to file a FOIA request, just so you know. I know lots of money has been handed out to the communities, or not to the communities, but to the schools. I want to know where that $10 million is at. I want to know what it's been spent on. That is just Wetzel County. Is that the reason behind masking these kids? If so, it's all wrong. These are our babies. These are, I sit here and I've watched what you guys talk to these new teachers or these people that were inducted tonight, and how can they do their job and do their jobs well? I don't know I can't tell by any of your faces underneath of those masks how you really feel about the conversation. I can't read your eyes. This is how we communicate. You can see my facial expressions because I'm not wearing a mask. And I didn't do that to defy anybody, but I want you to see how compassionate I really truly am. You can see my compassion. I can't see how any of you feel about what I'm saying. But I do know one thing, guys. These kids, so I'm in this Facebook group that I all of a sudden got put into today.
Not really extended a lot of time here, I'm sorry. You can wrap up, just
So
one final
I
thing.
have these parents telling me, their child has started having nosebleeds. And I'm like, oh my God, ding, 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 bam. Colton and his nosebleeds. We've been trying to figure out for months now, where's his nosebleeds coming from? Is it the masks? What are you guys doing? Who makes these decisions? If it's the money, who gives a shit about the money? It's all about the kids. It's about their learning.
Trust me, we're listening. I'm just trying to be fair.
I understand. You guys have a whole, I get it, and I appreciate
You're welcome.
you
We
listening.
appreciate your thoughts, and it has been a challenge. And I would ask that on our next agenda, if we could just have an outline of what the state is and how we're mixing what the state is telling us and what we're able to do on our next agenda, please.
And I know you can't answer me, but my thoughts are, and I've talked to Pam about it, I don't want to send Colton to school anymore with a mask on. I don't think it's fair. Or is he going to be booted out? Is this little 7-year-old boy going to be told you can't come to school because you won't wear a mask?
And we appreciate your concerns, and we're listening. We are listening. So,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Next item on our agenda then is superintendent information. Mrs. Wills, anything at this point?
Nothing additional to what the induction.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda then this evening is the superintendent's recommendation to approve the minutes from the January 24th and the February 7th meetings. Is there a motion? Has been moved to accept the minutes from the February 7th and January 24th meeting. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Has been moved and properly seconded. Are there any questions concerning those minutes? Not hearing any, all in favor of approving those, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda tonight then is personnel matters. Had an opportunity ahead of time to be able to look through this agenda. Are there any questions? Is there a motion?
I move for the approval of superintendent's recommendations as outlined under personnel matters.
I'll second. It has been moved and properly seconded to accept the superintendent's recommendations under personnel matters. Again, if there are no questions, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda tonight are routine matters. A couple of requests for school use facilities, internship. A couple of other items, again, that you've been able to see on your agenda. Are there any questions about these routine matters? Is there a motion?
So moved.
Has been moved to accept the superintendent's recommendations labeled under routine matters. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Has been moved and properly seconded. Again, if there are no questions, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. The next item on the agenda is the treasurer's report. Is there anything in addition for us, Mrs. Wells, from Mr. Lancaster tonight, anything we need to do?
No, there is not. In fact, when you get to 8 and 9, you'll deal with what he was going to talk
Okay,
about.
are there bills to
Yes.
approve those? I
Yes.
assume we do have to do that,
Yes.
okay, I just want to make sure. So, do not believe there are any transfers or increases, those were not brought to us, but we do need to approve the payment of the bills for January. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Has been moved for the payment of the bills for January under the treasurer's report. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Has been moved and properly seconded. Again, if there are no questions, All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It is approved. Next item on the agenda is a discussion action for purchase by Wetzel County Board of Education of Rock Lane property. You can see the details of that. If there are any questions, we would have to move into executive session. So are there any questions as it relates to this property under the first one in question on 1.8? Not hearing any motion to move into executive session, so there must not, assuming that there are no questions relating to that matter, is there a motion then to move?
So moved.
Has been moved to accept or approve the purchase by Wetzel County Board of Education of the Rock Lane property as outlined in the agenda. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Has been moved and properly seconded to provide for the purchase of that property. Again, not hearing any questions that would require executive session. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Next item on the agenda is a discussion action for purchase by Wetzel County Board of Education of Mollet property, and those details are listed in the agenda. And that agenda has been made public for anyone to see as well. Are there any questions relating to the purchase of that property that would require an executive session this evening? Not hearing any motions as it relates to that, is there a motion in relationship to the action on that property?
So moved.
Has been moved for Wetzel County Board of Education to purchase this property. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Has been moved and properly seconded. Again, no questions.
I just have a statement. The board has tried for a long time to buy this property. And I'm finally glad to see that it's rotation. It's something that Magnolia High School has needed for quite a while. Appreciate that as well.
Not hearing any other questions or comments, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It is approved for the purchase. The second item on our agenda tonight is the first reading of a revised policy. It's the homeschooling policy, and it was highly subtle, but it was subtle enough that we need to change. It was a single word.
It's just to align the policy with the state wording.
Right. And so this is simply the first reading of this policy to just simply change ever so slightly so it matches what the state policy is as well.
Yes, sir.
Any questions about that policy? Is there a motion in relationship to first reading of this revision?
So moved.
Has been moved to accept on first reading, the revision of the IO homeschooling policy. Is there a second?
Second.
Again, are there any questions? Not hearing any, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is the board member committee reports. Are there any board member committee reports this evening?
For the mental health and wellness, that one was rescheduled due to snow and ice and all that lovely stuff. And this past Wednesday or Thursday, I don't remember, we did the budget meeting for the West Virginia Extension Office. There's no changes budget-wise, but I did give Ms. Wells a copy of a survey that they sent out. I don't know if everyone on the board received the survey. Okay. And I also have the digital copy that Mrs. Wells is going to send to all of you. It was asking questions about the education of Wetzel County. It was asking questions about things that the Extension Office themselves could possibly do to help, not just with education, but just help the county in general. It was asking about your overall perception of Wetzel County. And every single person that answered, those answers have been combined, tallied, whatever you want to call it. And it's very telling. It is very, very telling about the perception of everything, really. If we can, I'd also like to send it out to all of the administrators.
Of course, it'd be good for the strategic plan.
And they have offered that if there's any services that they can provide for any part of the school system, they are more than happy to come in and participate in anything that they can.
the tables that were in there with the statistics and everything, are those public? I mean, we can share those with people? I mean, it's not proprietary or anything, right?
From the survey?
Yeah.
Or are you talking about their?
The original email that came out.
The data?
That data or tables, whatever.
It's all public.
Okay.
And I did ask.
Okay, that's one thing, because I've shared it with some people. Okay. And more people need to see it, because it's.
As long as you're referring to that paper that she has in her hands.
That's good.
That are per capita.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, then yes.
Okay.
Any other board member committee reports? Not hearing any, then the next item on the agenda is, the other items is discussion of policy 2322, Western Municipal Accountability. Any thoughts on that, Mrs. Wells?
I will go to my assistant superintendent. Do you have anything to add about that today?
Really not my law, as far as that's concerned. I did want to, we'll be seeing a bulletin board posting, billboards, I don't want to call them bulletin board. Billboard's going to be going up down close to the Mincer Distributing. Payne City's business class helped develop a recruiting billboard for substitutes, and they did a great job on it, I think. But it should be going up pretty soon, probably within the next month. We should see it up, and it'll be down there as you go by Speedway. It's going to be up in the right-hand corner. I gave them the opportunity to go around and choose where they wanted to put this, and they chose that particular area because of the high traffic. I thought that was pretty smart of them. They did a really good job developing this, putting it together, and real proud of them. And once we get it up and get moving with that, we're probably going to be doing some brochures off of it and stuff. And there's going to be a lot more to it. We talked about maybe doing a radio commercial and the kids being involved in that. But several things that they came up with. And I thought they had some really good ideas, but I just wanted to kind of recognize that Ms. Yoho's business class for doing that, and we'll probably be reaching out and doing some more things.
I saw it the other day when I was at the board office. It's really attractive. I mean, it's colorful and to the point and everything. They did do a good job.
You're the one that's actually seen it. Yes, it's super.
Mr. Vargas?
Yes, just one thing. Different times throughout the year, I've discussed with you all about the big detectors. Just update you on that. The company has gone in and they have completed the installation of the drops.
Yeah, our drops are all in.
The drops are all in. So there's a few more things to be done installation-wise, and then once Mr. McPherson lets me know that's completed, then I will schedule a training with the company and the principals to let them know how that technology will be used. And it'll be functional. That's all I have.
Thank you. Mr. McPherson?
I have a couple projects that are all going the right way, and whenever they finish up, I'll tell everybody about them.
Mrs. McPherson?
It was announced that there will be a change in the child nutrition guidelines for next school year. However, we're anticipating waivers to also be extended. Everyone's been to the grocery stores. We see the shortages, and we're just hoping that our government chooses to go that direction as well. That's all.
Mr. Kimball?
I think just with the PRT, I know we've been discussing the protocols and the COVID protocols going on and some of the changes that are happening around us, and just as well as keeping us apprised of that. But other than just that changing landscape that changes, it seems like regularly, that's all I have on tap right now.
And Mr. Houston, I know that you're going to compile a report with PSAT and SAT results for the next board meeting, so you may want to talk a little bit about that and some other things.
My phone doing this.
Well, I'm sorry, I'm just so proud of you.
Just wanted to say that tomorrow 8th graders are taking Golden Horseshoe. And I don't know if you're aware of it or not, but the state made a requirement that all students take the Golden Horseshoe. And if they're not there tomorrow to take it, there will be a makeup opportunity for them. Also Thursday, high school math field day at Valley High School. Friday.
What time will that award ceremony be, in case they would like to hit the award ceremony? Around noon?
Probably between noon and 1.
Okay.
I'll send out an email. Friday's a pretty big day for us. The weather looks good. The high school in the morning is going to be unpacking our SRED when they come into the schools. And in the afternoon, the Marshall schools want to do the same. And then Mrs. Wells was talking, it's benchmark window time. And we just finished the already benchmark for our 3 of the 4 high schools. Magnolia does a little different benchmark. But at the next board meeting, I'll be able to give you some information about that. I worked pretty much all day on one high school. It's interesting. So it usually takes about a day, depending on the size of the school, sometimes 2 days. I put it in a spreadsheet and actually have the percentage growth by class. I can tell you what the percent was for student and their growth. So I'll have a more detailed report for you next week.
Golden Horseshoe test, is it online?
The Golden Horseshoe, last Tuesday, we took the written essay part. Okay? And that written essay, the only thing that is used for is break a tie. Tomorrow is the online. And like I said, all students have to take that, even our most severe kids have to take it. That was a legislative requirement. I think when they made the law, they weren't taking. But
And all of them had to write the essay also?
yes, we asked every student to write the essay. Now, if they were not in school that day, you do not make up the essay. The online is required.
Okay.
And they actually have a website that keeps track of that. Big change.
Teachers not allowed to administer the test.
No, classroom teacher can administer the essay,
That's correct, not the
but
online.
not the online. It has to be another teacher from, in the school. And we have security agreements that we have to send to Charleston way in advance. We've already done that. We're ready to go. Okay.
That's all. Board members, any questions? Not hearing any questions then, with the date and time. Oh. I just
Oh, I
asked.
thought that was.
No, I'm sorry.
I thought that was a question.
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Just some information, and I'm gonna have a request after I present you that information. This is Moose International Magazine. It came out last week, and everybody thinks the Moose is just a ball. It's much more than that. Their main focus, they operate an orphanage in Mooseheart, Illinois, and they operate a place for senior citizens to live in Florida, and that's their 2 main things. But they're called the family fraternity because they do a lot of things. One of the things they do is they offer cash scholarships to students going to college or to technical school or whatever. And I just want to show you, I'm passing this around. This is congratulations class of 2022 are the community scholarship winners. Right here to applicants must be members of the graduating class of 2023. This is for next year. Must have a father, mother, step-parent, grandparent, or legal guardian, a current member of the Moose. It must have a cumulative grade point average of 3.0 or higher on a 4.0 scale, or equivalent verified by a copy of the student's transcript. Meet these criteria, you have an opportunity to win a $1,000 scholarship. Now, they do those random. The more scholarships you get into the hopper, the better your chance. And I think, if I counted right,
There's 2.
okay, plus 3, and then there's some picture here. All the ones I highlighted in yellow. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of those are from Moose Lodge 930.
That's fantastic.
And we'll pass it around. Some of the students, most of them, the majority are from Wetzel County Schools or River or Middleburn. Some are from, one's from Mount, or from John Marshall, one's from Weird, because they have grandparents that belong. The reason why I'm bringing this up, the man responsible for this is Richard. He has worked on this for years and has raised tens of thousands of dollars for students in this county and in the area to help their education. After almost 40 years of being an administrator of Moose, he is retiring September 1st. And I was talking to him and telling him, what a great thing this is to show how much work he does in this. And I would like to invite him to the next meeting on the premise that he talk about the scholarship, which he loves to do. And if we could honor him with a certificate as a friend of Wetzel County Schools, which he has been for years. And we'll make that kind of a surprise. And I'll have statistics at that time too. How many scholarships have been given away, and exactly, and it's up in the tens of thousands of dollars that he has provided. And the scholarships are cash, and the student can use those for whatever they need, books, to help with their lodging or whatever. There's no stipulation on that, except if they attend college, or technical school, or junior college, or whatever. But I'd like to pass this around, you can look at it. I just think it's something that, hopefully it'll continue, but you never know with this replacement, whether that will happen or not. And not only is that, and these are part of the community, which are the national, but also are state scholarships, which I believe this year there were 3, and I believe our students in this area won 2 of them.
Great.
And then the lodge also gives away 2 local scholarships to the local ones. So he has done just a tremendous job over the years, and it's solely his baby, to say. And he's been the state chairman of the scholarship program for years, and they'll have to find someone else on the state level to run the scholarship program. But I thought it would be a chance to get him in here. He goes to class days every year, presents those $1,000 checks to those students, and he'll be doing that one more time. Well, actually, he'll take care of the applications for next year. So next year, the graduating class next year of 2023, that will be his last group. So if there's no objections, I'd like to invite Mr. Earlywine to the next board meeting.
We will put it on the agenda. If that's your wish, if that's the wish of the board, we will put it on the agenda.
No objection.
I think it's an ideal example of that community relations
I agree.
that we need to celebrate.
Yes.
She does have a job. You have your own outfit.
Yes. We will, thanks. This is 17 year old.
Thank you. Anything else for the board? With the date and time then of the next meeting being at 6 o'clock on February 28th, I would move for adjournment.
I'll second that.
Has been moved and properly seconded to adjourn the meeting. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We are adjourned at 7:01.